This is a Boss keyboard pedal. It's durable, it has switchable polarity, it has a rubber flooring to it. It can connect with other ones so that they can be stacked together. It has a lot of great features. Unfortunately, I found out multiple times where they have a durability issue. It's right here. I've broken 3 of these playing on stage and pushing on this stuff too hard. Today on Danny Robertson Music, as I put this stuff away, today on Danny Robertson Music, we talk about protecting your gear. Hey performers, welcome to Danny Robertson Music. I'm your host, Danny Robertson. We're here to help you become the best possible performer you can be on whatever stage you choose. Today, we're talking about gear and protecting that gear. I'm going to bring up a few stories because I've had a lot of weird experiences with reasons why gear has been damaged or busted or flat out broken, and it's not fun. It's not fun when it happens, and you want to find different ways that you can protect yourself from this. So let's talk about a few incidents that I've personally experienced. Being that I'm a keyboard player and I'm a high energy performer, I tended to be at the front half of the stage, and my keyboard was often very close to where an audience would stand or watch the band perform. And on more than one occasion, I've had someone who's had a little bit too much alcohol land on the keyboard in a weird way that either tipped it up. I've actually had a few cases where I'm in the middle of playing and all of a sudden my keyboard is sideways like this because somebody has landed on the side of it and flipped it up, and it comes back down and almost crashes. Couple nice saves there. I've also had a couple of points where a person that's been drinking has flat out ran into me and knocked over my keyboard on top of me. It's happened more than once, so it's something that if you're a keyboard player and you're not protected, you may want to think about some ways that you can do that. So that's one example of something I've seen on stage. I've personally dealt with a lot of broken pedals. Because I'm high energy, I tend to stomp on my pedals quite a bit. I've broken 3 of these. I've broken, I think, 4 other kinds of pedals, and I eventually found out that the ones that work well for me are the ones that are metallic and have a connector right there. So the pedal is the entire top half and it's just a cheapo, and it just works really well for not being able to break anything. So usually that's my choice. I have a couple of Yamaha pedals that have worked for several years at this point, but I've broken a lot of pedals. I've also had an incident where on the way back from a gig, an animal ran out in front of a car, and the car that my keyboard was in flipped completely over. And that keyboard still works to this day. It's actually, well, it's not on, but that keyboard still works to this day, though not quite as well as it used to. It's been beat up quite a bit, but it survived a car flip. I've also been in the middle of a show, and an outdoor show where we're middle of our set and it's a nice sunny day and everything appears to be just nice and fun. And all of a sudden, a pop-up storm comes running through town, and it not only rains, but hails right on top of all of our equipment. We were lucky enough to have a tarp that day, but that performance, there was a guitar player who did lose a pedal because that pedal didn't get covered up in the rain, and it got soaked and completely destroyed. So lots of ways that you can damage your gear through either someone else's fault, an act of God, or even your own fault. So there's a couple of things that you can do to protect yourself. There's actually several. So let's go through these. Number one, when you are performing on stage, like in my example with the keyboard, you want to find a way to minimize the exposure that you're going to get from your crowd. So if you have an amplifier, you may want that way behind you. You may want to have some kind of encasement around you that protects your gear from people getting too close to your gear. You also may want to have something like, in my case, a stronger keyboard stand, which I've typically personally gone with that typical X stand that you see on a lot of keyboard players, but the newer keyboard stands have a little bit more durability to them, and they tend to stand up in spots where the X stands wouldn't. So having good quality equipment, stuff that can take a hit, and you can minimize your exposure that way, that will help you to protect your gear in one way. Secondly, this one's probably the most obvious. Buy good cases and travel equipment for your gear. If your gear is durable and you put it into a good case, it's more likely to survive the trip from one place to the next. So having a hard shell keyboard case, in my case, would make sense more than the original that I had. My original keyboard case was a gator case. It was a good quality case, but it was also made of a nylon type of substance, so it was a little bit more flimsy, and I think that may have actually hurt that keyboard when it did flip in the car. Since then, I've got a much more tough, roadworthy, hard shell case that I use when I travel. The third thing you can do to protect your gear is actually an unconventional one, but I would suggest it to every regularly performing musician that is watching this channel. Get some kind of extra insurance that is specifically for your equipment. A lot of the time, insurance providers can help you with putting together a special policy that pertains to your music equipment, because if it's in your home or your apartment, you can have homeowners insurance or apartment insurance, rental insurance. When you are traveling out on the road, though, your equipment, believe it or not, is likely not covered by the traveling. It's considered more of a specialized insurance for stuff like that. So if you damage your equipment while you're performing a show, you're probably not covered. So take a look at your insurance, and that may help you a little bit. Other than that, this is a very quick and easy one. I do want to point out that if you are curious to learn more about how to perform on stage, learn the fundamentals of what makes a good performance, learn about ways that you can do things with medleys and getting better on your overall performing, take a look at DannyRobertsonMusic.com. You can start with our freebies section there, which I'll include a link to in the video here. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. Also, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all you do with that. So until next time, I'm Danny Robertson, and we'll see you soon.